Hey guys, it's J19 brought to you another video, and today we got some interviews with this interview at least for Final Fantasy 16. It's about the world building, differing viewpoints, and favorite characters. This is on the PlayStation blog, so if you guys want more Final Fantasy 16 news, updates, reviews, interviews, and whatnot, feel free to like, subscribe if you're new, hit the bell notification so you know if I go live or upload my next video. With that said, let's get right into it. Let's get right into this nice, juicy interview and see what they have to say. Okay, Final Fantasy 16. Okay, they are talking to the director, Takai, Mahiro, creative director, and then Koji Fox, the localization director, which is cool. Last week, Final Fantasy 16, Naoki Yoshida, I'm going to say Yoshi P, and Takai debuted the game's newly released trailer and entitled Ambition. In the PS blog post, they touched briefly on the game's lore as well as sharing more information on two newly revealed characters. There we go. That's what I want to see. After the review, we have yet more questions. So today they're going to dig a little deeper in the world of Valistia and the dominance and icons. Joined by creative director Mahiro and Koji Fox, this interview covers the creator's approach to a story, world building, key players, motivations, and more. This is what I want to see, guys. Right here. I want to see more world building and stuff like that. Okay. The world of Final Fantasy 16 may not be particularly kind or gentle. Still, I think we managed to portray how its people live without abandoning hope. They struggle, how they stand firm, and how they keep on living. That's the main director, Takai. PlayStation blog. What did you want to achieve in this story that haven't been done in Final Fantasy before? Takai. I would say that in the beginning, Final Fantasy series set out to create a starting point. A pure fantasy world, tell rich stories about the inhabitants of this world. The series have gradually built out from that starting point, sometimes trying out elements closer to sci-fi, delving more deeply into coming-of-age stories of its youthful characters. As we come to Final Fantasy 16, just as our players seem to have grown, the years have taken their toll on us developers too. The world hasn't always been kind. We learned that you can't always expect everything to turn out well for you, and things don't always turn out well in the world of Valistia either, in many different senses of the word. Its inhabitants all carry their own burdens. This was the kind of world we wanted to show, and so the world of Final Fantasy 16 may not be particularly kind or gentle. Still, I think we managed to portray how people live without abandoning hope, how they struggle, and how they stand firm, how they keep on living. So I really want as many people as possible to experience the world of Valistia, and of course, it's not all doom and gloom. Good. I like to see a little bit of memorable moments as well. So let's continue. Can you walk us through the early stages of concepting this world? Do you start with the iconic elements you want to include, such as crystals and summonings, then explore unique takes on those with the dominance? Then that leads organically to warring the nations, states, etc. Etc. Mahiro, creative director and original screenplay. From the very start of the project, we had decided that Final Fantasy 16 would focus on icons. Summons are important elements of Final Fantasy series as a whole, so I thought if we're going to show the icons, we should make sure they're properly woven into the story instead of merely being spells or skills. Awesome. That's what led me to thinking about the question. Say, there was a world where icons actually existed. What kind of world would that be? It would be a world where it would be natural to see giant summons with your own eyes. It would have a corresponding history. Next step, our history, mostly about how I personally approached the creation of the story. I started by creating the world map, and from there I built up the environment of the world, establishing the flow of the winds and rivers, the oceans, currents, and the placement of cities. With this as my base, I added in iconic elements from Final Fantasy series, including the crystals, are elements unique to Final Fantasy 16 that arose from all overall structure, writing a history of the world as I went. Once all this is complete, we finally arrive at the starting line for the story, and after that, I create a narrative that would always keep Clive, the player's avatar, as this nexus. Awesome. I took care to ensure that he really feels like the protagonist, not just one character among multiple storylines. See, that's what I like about this. Clive is going to be like the main guy, the main focus. Like, you're going to be focusing on him. He's going to feel like the protagonist, not like you got all these characters banding together, to save the world. This is like Clive, his own personal struggles with the world of Celestia and all the icons and the wars and stuff like that going on. This is gonna be awesome. I can't wait. Okay, moving on. Yoshida-san's core design concept for Final Fantasy XVI has always been a roller coaster, so a mixture of a slow building accents followed by a thrilling free falls is always a good way to describe how we try to deliver the narrative. That's awesome. Are there any learnings from structuring and writing Final Fantasy XIV? Heaven's Ward, here we go, guys. Heaven's Ward. Like, they wanted to make Final Fantasy 16. If it's our job, we make it kind of like Heaven's Ward. And here we go. Storyline characters they brought to building out Final Fantasy 16. Yes and no. First and foremost, Final Fantasy XIV Warrior Light being a silent protagonist greatly affected how scenes could be written. As a result, most Final Fantasy cutscenes involve other people talking to you, the burden to relay important information falling almost solely on NPCs. For Final Fantasy 16, having Clive be an active part of every conversation changes a lot about how we are able to relay info to the player. Yes, that's what I want to hear, guys. I want to hear Clive, like, having more involvement, because the last three trailers, like, we haven't heard him much, And I'm thinking they're saving that for the game more than showing off in the trailers, because they wanted us to, like, be shocked by how much Clive has he's going to be, like, talking to a lot of people. Like, he's going to be like, hey, I'm the main protagonist. It's all, all the information the players get is through me while I'm learning as well. This is great. This is what I like. Let's see. Cutscenes are definitely more dynamic than in that sense. Also, the addition of high-quality facial capture to allow us a lot of scenes allows us opportunities to relay emotion and meaning via expression rather than actual dialogue. Difference in genre also affect our approach. With an MMO such as 14, it's all about creating a story that can extend over the 2+ years of expansion cycle. With a standalone game, the resulting narrative needs to be a little bit more compact and streamlined. When that standalone game is heavily action focused, as opposed to traditional slower paced RPG, a narrative tempo becomes doubly important. While political intrigue can be exciting, it tends to be complex and requires a lot of explanation, which can slow things down. Leaning too much on an intricate and complexity sometimes causes you to lose sight of the bigger picture, and game can suffer because of it. We are creating something that is interactive. We wanted there to be a good balance. Yoshida-san's core design concepts for Final Fantasy 16 has always been a roller coaster ride. It makes sure slow building accents followed by thrilling free falls is a good way to describe how we try to deliver the narrative, which is great. That's what I want to hear. I want to hear, like, knowing that Clive is going to be like the integral part of the story. Like, they want to make sure that this is compacted. It's not going to be, you just got to keep playing for the next 2 months with, DLCs and stuff. This is all compacted. They want to tell a roller coaster ride of a story through Clive, and I cannot wait. This interview is awesome. Let's keep reading. The dominance of view differently depending on their home nation, be they are venerated or forced into being weapons of war, makes for rich storytelling potential. What informed your development and choice of each nation viewed and used their dominance? Making each nation attitude towards dominance gives us a different gives us the opportunity to explore how certain things are perceived when viewed through different lenses. Something especially relevant in an age where a tendency is to compartmentalize things such as either black and white, right or wrong, because ultimately the dominants are living, breathing human beings. How they are employed by their respective nation becomes a fairly accurate reflection of how those nations treat their own populace. A nation that treats its dominant like a pawn most likely also sees its people as pawn, and to be sacrificed in order to save the more important pieces. A nation that fears its dominant is one that is likely to lash out against all magic users, dominants, and bearers, whereas a nation that reveres its dominant is more likely to view people as equals. The way in which dominants act according to their human will, even after manifesting the icon, might be something that quite distinct about Final Fantasy 16. Nice. Bahamut and Odin are two iconic figures in Final Fantasy mythology and have been interpreted in different ways in previous games. How is the team making Final Fantasy 16 visions distinct from past titles? This doesn't just apply to Bahamut and Odin. I would say to one distinct aspect of Final Fantasy 16 when compared to the past installments of the series is the way that human dominance manifests the icons into themselves. Dion, who is Bahamut, and Barnabas, who is Odin, each carry their own burdens in the story. I think each of the fascinating things about Final Fantasy 16 is how the monstrous forms manifested by the dominants come to somehow resemble the human characters when you look at them. For the actual appearance of the icon, instead of creating a completely new design, we intentionally gone with the forms that could easily imagine from previous iterations. Thinking about it, the way in which the dominants act according to the human, will even after manifesting the icon, might be something that's quite distinct about Final Fantasy 16. So, every dominant, every icon, is going to interact with each personality. So, like Titan's going to take on the personality of Hugo, and it's going to correspond to his emotions, just like with Dion and Barnabas and Benedicta and Clive and Joshua. That's the ones we know so far. I don't know the names of Ramu yet, or Leviathan like I talked about in my previous video. The icons might be all powerful, but their actions are the behest of their dominance, and by extension, the nations they fight for. All characters, not just dominants, believe that what they're doing is right. How do you approach fleshing out moral complex characters? Not everyone treats the dominants in the same way. Being humans, there is a lot of different thoughts and beliefs. In one country, dominants may be treated with great respect, like stately guests of honor, while in another, they are treated as slaves. While there are those who fight for justice, there are those who will act only for their own personal benefits, as well as those who are being coerced to serve against their will for some reason or another. You might think that the dominants should be able to do whatever they want with the immense power of the icon, but using their power comes with a drawback of petrifying the dominant's body. Here we go, guys. More story elements. We saw that in the trailer. The guy was like completely like petrified, and the person showed their skin off, and like it's starting to become like petrified looking. So every time they use their power, they start taking on more of the petrifying of the bodies. That's the ultimate price for having such power. Interesting. This gives rise to turmoil faced by the dominants who cannot act as they wish, as well as shaping the relationships they have with their aligned countries and the people surrounding them. The character of each dominant has been created by depicting the situation they find themselves in, their personal will and ideology, and the conflict that arises from these factors. Interesting. Of course, there's Clive. He's looking out of the dirt and stuff that's like no magic, no birds, like no trees. When Vulcan heard the song lines, he and his team decided to to handcraft a background loop part for each one. Despite the extra work that meant for them, we had recorded the songs a cappella and tempo and pitch were all over the place. Who has been your favorite Final Fantasy 16 character to write and why? Oh, here we go. I like to see what these directors have to say. There are a lot of characters in this game. They all have their own life and destiny, so it's very difficult to pick one. I imagine this will be the same answer as Mr. Mihiro, who was in charge of the script. I would have to say that Clive, the protagonist, is uniquely special. Being our protagonist, the whole development team is united behind pushing Clive forward with all our might. How are we going to shine the spotlight on him? How are we going to give his words weight? Together with Mr. Mihiro, I checked every individual part and made repeated requests for things to be tweaked. As a result, I'm particularly attached to Clive. So this is great. I cannot wait to see Clive in action and like him interacting and stuff like that, like in the game. That's one of my top, most anticipated things. Takai, he hasn't been announced yet, but I like the character of Here we go. This is new. New stuff. I'm excited. I like the character Byron, who appears part way through the story. He's a character with an extremely likable personality, very cheerful and magnanimous. I expect a lot of players will end up liking him just as I do. Unfortunately, I can't go into too much detail, such as enter spoiler territory, but the scene where he first appears makes me really emotional. When I was initially carrying out the cutscenes tracks, found myself tearing up quite a bit, despite myself. Wow. I imagine he'll be announced in future promotion material, so when you see him in the game, think back to this interview. Ha ha ha. Oh man. Byron. We don't know who Byron is. Maybe he is Leviathan. We gotta think. You can think he's Leviathan? Okay, Mihiro. My favorite character would have to be the main character, Clive. Of all the characters I've written thus far, he's really the character I poured the most feeling into so much, I'm not sure I'll be able to write a better character. There are actually lots of characters in this game I really like. I can't talk about at this point. If I have another interview opportunity after the game has been released, I'll mention them in my answers. Haha. Fox. There are so many unique characters in Final Fantasy 16, it's hard to choose. Even more so when I can't actually talk about the most here because it would spoil the story. So coming in at, let's say I close fourth after. It would have to be Bard, who sings of Clive's exploit. Originally this NPC was simply supposed to recite vague poems dependent on where Clive happened to be in the main scenario. But we thought it would be fun to have him sing the lines in true spoony Bard fashion. So we reached out to a talented voice actor who also happened to be a professional training in bardic arts, and had him do two versions of each, a spoken one and one a startly croon and yo-yodi style. Assume that we probably just end up using the former. However, when Mr. Stoken had heard the song lines, he and his team decided to handcraft background loops for each one, despite the extra work that meant for them. Because we have recorded the songs a cappella and tempo and pitch all over the place. The results, however, were so good that all the other voice language, Japanese included, decided to follow suit, recrafting the lyrics to fit the melodies and hiring talented singers to nail the part. And all this for the random NPC that some players may not even speak with once in the game. Wow. That's it, guys. That's all the information we have for Final Fantasy 16 for interviews. Let me check real quick. Anyways, that's all we got, guys. That was an awesome interview. We got to learn about, there's an NPC that's singing about Clive's narrative. There are We got Byron. We're gonna find out later on later promotions for Final Fantasy 16, and yeah, there's a lot of information in here, a lot of good stuff. So with that said, let me know in the comments what you guys think of this information for Final Fantasy 16. Are you guys excited for more information down the road? For more information about Byron and this NPC maybe, and just like I'm excited. Like this gets me even more excited for Final Fantasy 16. Like as you guys can tell throughout my reading of this, like I started getting more and more excited. Like because especially new stuff like Byron. Like we haven't seen who Byron is. We don't even know who the character is for Ramu yet. Like we got a lot of information that we still don't know about this game, which it piques my interest. And like I said, just them talking about Clive and like how he's an integral part of the story. He's gonna be in on every single conversation. He's gonna be like in the thick of it, giving us the players the information we need. And I'm all for it. Like just keep giving me more. Next thing I want to see now, guys. I want to see like the traversal. I want to see exploration. I want to see Clive talking to people. I want to see Clive like just roaming around the cities, the environments. That's what we need to see next. I think that's the next thing we see. We already seen the gameplay. We already seen the world building. These interviews are good. Great, I should say. And I'm excited. I'm excited to see what they have to show us. They got the next big review down the road. It's probably going to be after the first of the year. I'm excited. I'm really excited for Final Fantasy 16. So let me know in the comments below what you guys think. I'll have links in the description below for my Twitch, Twitter, and Discord. You guys know what to do. Give me a follow on those. Like, subscribe if you guys want more Final Fantasy 16 on this channel. I will be sure to cover it. I'm so hyped for this game. I cannot wait for more information. With that said, you guys have a wonderful day, wonderful night. Keep on keeping on, and I'll catch you all in the next video. Take care.